Jim Jones, the man who has dominated the streets, the courts, and the music industry, just broke his silence in a way you never saw coming, and it's going to change everything. Yes, you heard that right. Cameron is the same Cameron that he once called a brother. What's shocking isn't that he hit him, but rather why he did it, and trust me, the reason is so twisted and messed up that it will make you reevaluate everything you thought you knew about these two. It's not just about street beef anymore. Deeper than that, you won't find answers like this anywhere else. So stay with me until the very end because the truth is much darker than you think. It all began on a rainy afternoon in court, a place where secrets are buried and lives are exposed. Jim Jones, the notorious Dipset leader, has always been a man of mystery known for his sharp tongue, ruthless business tactics, and street credibility. Jim built an empire that has withstood the test of time, but behind that icy exterior, there is betrayal on a level that will leave you speechless. On the outside, there is a tale of treachery, anger, and something much darker than you could have ever imagined. But here's the startling twist. This time, Jim Jones is the one in the hot seat. And guess who's sitting across from him? Cameron, his longtime friend and one of the most controversial figures in the rap industry. The two have experienced everything from feuds to music, money, streets. But what happens when the man you once thought of as a brother turns out to be your greatest enemy? What happens when the bonds that bind you break down in front of millions of people in court? Jim Jones acknowledged that he had attacked Cameron in a vicious, shocking attack that caught everyone off guard. The same man who had helped Cameron become famous and who had been in the trenches with him threw everything away in a fit of rage. But the real question that has people on edge is why Jim Jones attacked Cameron after all these years. Was it a random outburst, or was there something much deeper at play here? The courtroom quickly fell silent after Jim's admission, and everyone was waiting for answers, but Jim's next words would alter the course of events. Jim Jones and Cameron were the ultimate duo that dominated the rap game in the early 2000s. Their bond was so deep that it seemed unbreakable, or so we thought. But things have never been as simple as they appeared on the surface. Behind the scenes, things were falling apart, and the loyalty they once shared was becoming a source of betrayal. This feud was so unexpected and wild that it made everyone wonder if what they thought they knew about it was even remotely true. Let's break it down before we dive into the shocking details. Let's go back to the beginning. In the early 2000s, Dipset was ruling the streets. Jim Jones, Cameron, Jel Santana, and the rest of the crew were a force to be reckoned with. Their swagger, style, and unapologetic approach to the game. As the years passed, cracks started to appear in the foundation. Jim Jones was always the devoted soldier who had Cameron's back when things got tough. But Cameron, who is as unpredictable as he is, started to distance himself from the rest of the crew. He was a lone wolf who needed to take charge of his own destiny. The tension between them was evident. Jim wanted control and Cameron wanted freedom. But behind the studio doors, personal problems were eroding their once unbreakable bond. The two had different visions, different ideologies, and different ideas about how to run the empire they had built together. The breaking point came when Cameron decided to leave the group. It was a betrayal that deeply hurt Jim, and there were rumors circulating. The secret that Cameron didn't want Jim to know caused the media to go crazy, leaving fans wondering what had happened to the storied collaboration. Cameron's exit from the group affected not only the music, but also the entire dynamic of their relationship. Trust had been destroyed, and no one knew what was truly going on behind closed doors. Fast forward to the present, and it's evident that the rivalry between Jim and Cameron is still going strong. The tension had been building for years, and it was only a matter of time until something major occurred. But what caused Jim to attack Cameron in court? Jim Jones's side of the story is one for the history books, according to anonymous sources close to the rapper. The attack wasn't random. It wasn't just about pride or ego. Something more sinister was at play, something personal. that had been simmering for years. Jim was done playing games when it turned out that he had been hearing rumors about Cameron in the streets for months. These rumors were about things that were said, things that were done, and things that shouldn't have been kept under wraps. The worst part is that it wasn't a one-time thing. According to leaked court documents, Jim had found that Cameron had been involved in a series of shady deals that not only went against the crew, but also involved some shady characters from Jim's past money laundering, secret investments, and rumors about backstabbing deals that Cameron had orchestrated behind Jim's back. Sources claim that Cameron had been meddling with Jim's personal life, digging into private matters that were never meant to be seen. Or was there a deeper motive at play? According to our sources, Jim was incensed when he learned about Cameron's involvement in these dubious activities. He felt betrayed and began to doubt everything, including his faith in Cameron and the way their business had been run for years. Jim, that this wasn't just an outburst of anger, but rather a calculated move to send a message. And what better place to do so than the courtroom where everyone was watching? Jim didn't hold back when he acknowledged publicly attacking Cameron, explaining why he felt the need to make the world aware of that betrayal. As the courtroom drama unfolded, the tension was unbearable. Jim Jones had just confessed to the unthinkable, attacking Cameron, his former partner in crime, his brother in arms. The world had already been reeling from the shocking revelation. But what really shocked everyone were the details that began. What was Cameron's response? Surprisingly, Cameron didn't say much. He sat quietly through the majority of the hearing, his face unreadable. But rumors said that he was furious inside because he knew what Jim was trying to do. He wanted to paint Cameron as the villain, a traitor who had been working behind his back. And Cameron wasn't going to let that happen. Rumors circulated that Cameron had been plotting his own retaliation, and some sources said that Cameron had already approached Jim's rivals in an attempt to form alliances, and in some cases, even cut deals. In the days that followed, more stories began to surface from inside the courtroom. According to sources, Jim wasn't just attacking Cameron physically. He was attacking everything Cameron stood for. He wanted to expose Cameron for the fraud he believed him to be because he wanted to show the world that the man who had once been his brother was nothing more than a self-serving opportunist. The idea was straightforward. If he couldn't defeat Jim on his own, he'd have to take him down with assistance from others. The real kicker was Cameron's alleged involvement with underground criminal organizations. Rumors about Cameron's connections. Two shady characters from the streets had been going around for a while, but Jim Jones was the one who made the connection. He said that Cameron had been involved in illegal activities that went well beyond the music industry, things Jim was unaware of until recently, such as money laundering, drug deals, and underground connections. Jim's camp claimed that all of this was part of the complex web that Cameron had been weaving, and that Jim wasn't just talking about a betrayal. Deeper, darker conspiracy. He was risking everything to expose his old friend for what he saw as a massive double-cross, and in court, Jim had the evidence to support it. The crowd was stunned as Jim vividly described how Cameron's covert dealings had jeopardized everything they had worked for. But it was Jim's attitude that truly rocked the courtroom. He wasn't apologetic. He wasn't looking for atonement. He was angry, and he was going to make sure everyone knew why it was a risky and daring move. But Jim was prepared for whatever came next. Would have consequences for him and Cameron? Consequences that would probably impact the entire rap industry. But the real question is, what happens next, and where do we go from here? As we move into the last chapter of this story, we'll explore the aftermath of Jim Jones's explosive courtroom revelations, the legal battles, the media frenzy, and the personal toll on both men. It's only the beginning, and I promise you won't want to miss what happens next. The rap world was buzzing after Jim Jones's courtroom confession, and the public had become fixated on the specifics of his admission. But the after Jim Jones' shocking confession about attacking Cameron in court, the legal system swiftly took action. Jim's admission had opened a can of worms for which no one was prepared. It was no longer just about an assault, but about a full-scale legal battle that threatened to tear apart the diplomat's legacy. The most shocking part of it all was yet to come. The consequences, the backlash, and the fallout that would affect not only Jim Jones and Cameron, but the entire rap game as a whole. This was only the beginning of the legal aftermath. Lawsuit against Jim, alleging emotional distress, physical harm, and defamation. Cameron wasn't going to let Jim paint him as a villain without a fight, so his legal team was already putting in extra effort to prepare a counterattack, accusing Jim of lying, manipulating the facts, and attempting to destroy Cameron's career. They knew this wouldn't be an easy battle, but they were prepared to go to court. Then there was the issue of Jim's own legal defense, which his attorneys contended that his actions were the consequence of years of betrayal and deceit, and that Jim was defending his own reputation. Reaction to the emotional weight of learning that his former friend had been secretly plotting against him. But regardless of how hard Jim's team tried to defend the attack, the truth was that he had just publicly confessed to a crime. This confession was like adding gasoline to an already raging fire, and the legal system, the public, and the media were all watching Jim closely. The courtroom drama was now a high-profile case, and no one was willing to let it slide. The public's reaction was equally intense, with both supporters and detractors standing by Jim, arguing that he had every right to defend himself against a friend who betrayed him. Some saw it as a betrayal of brotherhood, a relationship shattered by ambition and greed. Others, however, saw Jim's actions as a betrayal in and of themselves. After all, he had been preaching loyalty for years, and he had built his empire on trust and respect. How could he have turned his back on Cameron so easily? The media took advantage of the drama, making headlines that kept people riveted to their screens. Jim Jones admits to attacking Cameron. The truth behind the betrayal is this: the end of, as always, the truth was revealed. The diplomat story was like a soap opera with real repercussions, and every turn kept fans coming back for more. But what about the streets? Well, let's say that the streets had their own version of events. And rumors began to circulate that Jim's street credibility was at stake. And people began to wonder if he was still the same respected figure he had once been. Had Jim lost his way? Was he just another washed-up rapper clinging to his former fame? Or was he truly just a victim of a profound betrayal? Jim's past wasn't perfect. He had his own legal troubles and scandals. But the attack on Cameron was something that, depending on your point of view, took his reputation to new heights or new lows. In the streets, people felt that Jim was either a hero or a villain, and you were either with him or against him. However, Cameron wasn't just sitting around doing nothing after Jim's admission. He took to social media to vent his frustrations, posting cryptic messages and making fun of Jim in order to make it clear that he wasn't going to let Jim dictate the story. You can't hurt what's already dead. The real bombshell came when Cameron, through his lawyer, released a statement in which he denied all of Jim's accusations and claimed that Jim's entire admission in court was part of a larger publicity stunt. He claimed that Jim was trying to capitalize on the scandal to revive his waning career. It was a full-fledged war of words, and neither side was willing to back down, risking reputation, relationships, and the end of an era. Cameron also tweeted a cryptic remark that seemed to taunt Jim, as though to say, "I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere." Jim and Cameron had been the backbone of the diplomats for years. They had built an empire together, supported one another through thick and thin, and their friendship had been a symbol of loyalty, unity, and success in the rap world. Now it was shattered, and regardless of who won the legal battle, nothing would ever be the same. The diplomat's legacy, once one of the most influential in hip-hop history, had become a shadow of itself. Going beyond the lawsuits, the media, frenzy, and the courtroom drama, there was something bigger at stake here. As the legal drama unfolds and both men continue to defend their honor, one thing is certain: this feud is far from over. Courtrooms will be packed, the media will continue to spin their version of events, and the streets will be filled with people who are affected by it. Not only did Jim and Cameron become embroiled in a bitter feud that would likely go down in history as one of the most notorious in rap history, but it also affected everyone who was connected to them, their families, friends, and fans. Continue talking. Jim and Cameron's rivalry is no longer just personal, it's public and messy, and it will continue to change. Only time will tell what happens next, but one thing is certain. Whether Jim Jones is a hero or a villain, he has done something that most people in the rap game can't do. He has remained relevant. In fact, he has once again made himself the center of attention, and in the hip-hop community, that's what matters most. What do you think? Is Jim justified in his actions? Is Cameron the real victim here? Will the diplomats ever reconcile? Or is this the end of these two legends? This is it, people. The shocking details of Jim Jones's shocking courtroom confession are out. And this is just the beginning of a story that could change the course of hip-hop history. What do you think of all this? Is Jim justified? Or is Cameron the real victim? Here, let's continue the conversation by leaving your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, if you want to stay up to date on the latest drama, scandals, and secrets in the hip-hop world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss what happens next. If you're enjoying the drama and want to stay up to date on the most recent shocking facts and behind-the-scenes rumors from the world of hip-hop and celebrity scandals, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another bombshell. Trust me, we're just getting started. Hit the bell icon too, because we're constantly dropping new content. You don't want to miss the next explosive reveal. Until next time, I can assure you that you will want to be the first to know what occurs next.